Hey guys, it's me. So, I'm coming on tonight because I'm going to say this outright. Hi, I'm Ashley. I'm a higher self channeler. Sometimes I come on with ideas, thoughts, theories, prophecy. This is going to be a mishmash of a lot because if you guys saw my last video, I was talking about this like move of the wave. This title that I started with was to rise above the fray. And that's what I'm going to be talking about today. Because a lot of us right now might be feeling, and I don't mean this for everyone who's ascending. This might just hit everyone who's living this life right now. It's like as if we're in this fray, and how this all started. This is tangent time, everybody. Follow me down the yellow brick road of my thoughts and feelings, okay? Because I have something that I'm following right now, and I hope you just come along for the ride. But I will have a point, and there will be some type of reasoning behind all my madness. I promise, okay? So this all started because I kept having sidetracked thinking about the movie The Fray. And for those of you that haven't seen it, Liam Neeson is a sole character who tries to decimate the wolf population in certain regions of northern, I think, America, in order so that they don't overpopulate an area in terms of like wildlife, etc. Not the point. But it is a good movie. But my point of this is that this idea of the fray being the one person against a pack of wolves. This idea was like triggering a lot more different thought processes that have to do with what's going on today, that have to do with all these sidetracks of what the fray represents. Like if you look at what the word means, it means that you're basically like, you're trying to overcome the chaos, or you're trying to overcome some type of commotion in your life, or rising above that commotion and to avoid the fight or the struggle. And I feel like this idea of rising above the fray is what gave me the idea that a lot of us are like treading water, and we're just keeping our head above water in all of this fray, all of the commotion, everything that's going on. So that movie triggered this whole thing, and I started thinking about what does the fray represent for us right now? And it means to talk about everything that is currently happening at the same time. We have economic crisis, we have political crisis, we have crisis with, let's say, wars popping off. We have crisis with our cataclysmic side of our Mother Earth turning over. So a couple of these things that are kind of intrinsically interesting is that when I think about places like Lebanon or Iran or what's going on, right? Funny story. I was actually talking to a guy that was stationed in Lebanon for some time. I was talking to him for about 4 months. And I met him on Instagram. He found me on Up High Healing, where I have and run my business of higher self-channeling. Check it out. I'll put the links. The links are below. But anyways, not the point of the story. So him and I were speaking for some time, and he was telling me that he was stationed there for a long time because he wasn't able to tell me much, but basically like he was telling me they were stationed for any type of like terrorist attacks, etc., or overseeing that region, let's just say. And funny enough, when the first attack went off in Lebanon, his account got it just turned off. Like there was no connection, everything. So it was odd because like him and I had talks like every day. He didn't tell me a lot about what was going on, but I did know he was stationed there. I did know that he had been there for some time. They do like 6-month stints. So there was a pressing reason that, and he was an American, of why he was there before they got attacked. And that was something that I had to and see myself, because yes, he just disappeared. So I don't know if anything happened to him or if he had to like just sleeper cell whatever and shut down. So what I'm trying to say is that some of these pressures like Lebanon and Iran might be things that are already or have been in the mix already, or already preconceived by some powers out there. So we're up against these powers at all times. We're up against these warring nations that are choosing our fate in some senses. So that gives us as a human population a really smaller feeling of what we can and cannot control, or what we can fight against or what we can't fight against in this world, what we're being pressed up against. It's like as if we're in the corner of our lives, if you want to put it that way. And that's what the fray represents. So I wanted to talk about this because I feel like what's going on is quite intrinsic. I would say about a year ago, I had channeled Mother God, and she had given me some instances about places in the world over changing. And some of these things have come to pass already. Things like the Euphrates, things like Japan, things like how she had even commented, maybe I'll put the link down. She had said that certain regions that were dry would become like fruitful, and would become like no long, like deserts would become Greenland, etc. And I did say this about a year ago. So that's what I mean about my stuff being ahead. Okay. So recently I saw that the Sahara has been transforming, and they've been finding that happening. And what I'm trying to get at is that in some ways I feel like I'm part of this with all of you, but I do have a lot of let's say spidey senses out there. So I do all these correlations for what you're going through as a person, perhaps with this, you know, trying to stay above the fray, because this seems like a point in time where what I mean by you staying above the fray, meaning you keeping your head out of water, is not allowing any of these disturbances to overtake the energetic uplifting that you must maintain at this time. And it's going to be very intrinsic that we do this. And what I was being shown for the time frame, okay, and what's taking place right now, is I was getting this this sight of right now is similar to the allegory of the cave. If you don't know what the allegory of the cave is, Plato talked about, or was it Aristotle? One of the two. There was a story where there was these people that were put in, or were in a cave for some time, and they weren't able to get out or see the outside world. And for most of their lives, all they did see was the shadows of let's say persons walking by the fire. I feel like they were imprisoned. I apologize for this analogy, but there's a reason for this, I promise, because I was saying Spirit God was showing me all of these transitions to kind of explain what's going on. So in the allegory of the cave, these persons that are kind of entrapped in this cave, there's you know, when the sun does hit inside, let's say, and a shadow walks by, all they see is the shadow. So to them, that shadow that they see on the wall that's being permeated is their world. And I was being shown that that's kind of what's happening to us as the human beings on this planet. We are in an allegory of the cave situation where we see the world for what's being presented to us versus what's actually transpiring in reality. That was the whole point of that story, was like the gentleman that only saw the shadows cascading on the wall felt like that was the true reality, but really the reality was what was outside of the cave. So what I was being shown was, when I was looking at this time frame, I was being shown this 40 days and 40 nights situation. Now, if you don't know what the 40 days and 40 nights is, it's like probably brought up more than 20 times in the Bible for different instances, different periods of time. You could take it literally, or you could know that there is a point in time or a formation. But what does take place in almost every single one of these instances is that there is this sense of like a time of reflection, a time of rejuvenation, and or of judgment, let's just say, or being put through tests or judges or being judged. So I'm getting this feeling like there's going to be this 40 days and 40 nights time frame where we're going to be going through this process. So I was being shown 40 days and 40 nights because you see this with Jesus when he gets tempted by the devil. And then I was getting kind of some allegory of the cave situation with that, where it's like, that's the film of this world that we're seeing, which is similar to the cave, you know, the shadows in the cave that we all see as human beings. There's something about us having to pierce past that in order to defeat the devil in this time. And I don't like to use the word devil, but it's like as if why I was being shown 40 days and 40 nights was the same time, Moses took to reach up and speak with God on the mount. It's in Ezekiel. There's so many different times that 40 days is pressed upon. So I was getting that as well, because there was this feeling that as we reach closer to finding our most truest Christed consciousness, it's like this overturn that I've been talking about is all part of this, okay? It's like as if like there's been so many things to shake us up. And I mean, even to the point that now we have like 2 moons rocking it in our skies right now. But what I do want to allude to is something else that was funny for me, like I think it was like a month ago, about there was 7 suns that rose in Asia or in China. And again, there's this feeling of the illusion of the, what we're being shown as the cascades of the shadows. And this is what I'm trying to say, that a lot of these things that are going on are by design. Like I said, back to the Lebanon thing, like, persons in those regions being there stationed already before the hits, you know what I mean? Like there's this precursor feeling, or that there's this feeling like there's a lot being hidden from us as the populace, and it's going to be hard to navigate knowing that we are being shown this illusionary version of what reality is really taking place behind the scenes, so to speak. And why I brought up the 7 suns was because I was being moved into this whole Bible thing too, because of the 40 days. And I was being shown also, because as you may or may not know, you can see this in my back story too, about this whole thing about how Revelations is kind of guiding us through these times. So there is something I wrote. I'm not even going to lie. See, I'm all over the place today, but I know I have reasons. So I wrote this like maybe in my early 20s on the back of this Bible, okay? Because I was shown a long time ago with my number, which if you followed, you followed. I was shown that I was supposed to be watching this for the remainder of my existence. So there is these 7 seals, right? And 7 seems to be something of some type of remark. And what I found interesting was that there's this story about the 7 angels of the 7 churches of Asia. And I kind of was like, oh my gosh, maybe that's why the 7 suns occurred. It's part of the follow along of John's rendition in Revelation. So in a weird way, with these 7 suns and the 2 moons and the refraction and the whole illusionary telling of tales right now, which if you were to follow Revelations after that 7 angels section, as you follow along, becomes the rise and the fall of Babylon. And unfortunately, I feel like that might be what's going on with the Middle East right now, because no offense, that's where Babylon was, sorry to say. So in a weird way, it's like I feel like as light workers, as those that are chosen, those that are on this path, if you have been going through some severe situations, let's say energetically, emotionally, like I said in the past, you're being stretched, you're being shown your shadow with your black swan side. If you're going through ups and downs and different pressures, and then restabilizing and then refinding yourself, all these different changes, I feel like it's so imperative right now, and especially for this like 40 days situation, because the thing is, like I said, 40 days can represent something else, but what I feel is what is representative of this time is that it's not only a form of judgment or being tested, but I feel like testing is the main thing to take away from this. And it's to see like where our leadership stems from. If we're someone that's going to like lead from a place of exploitation or pocketbook situation, or if we're going to lead our lives in the way that is best fit with Christ. I feel like there is these correlations that are so strongly churning right now, and God is going to basically well, I mean, before the new earth comes in Revelations, God's going to live with us in that new earth, right? But I feel like as we avoid the fight and the struggle that's being presented with us in the news, in the media, in every walk of life that is conflicting to our existence at this point right now, it's like as if we have to hold tight to what is most important, what our energy can create and provide. And we have to tread the water as long as we can to get through this testing phase, to break free of this illusionary existence that we're being shown. And I would say that if you think of the illusion in terms of like what the allegory of the cave was representing, it's like we're not going to be seeing these shadowy existences for much longer. So I do feel like as long as you can keep your head out of water, I feel like that as untread through this time, that's what's going to save everything else. And when I mean everything else, I mean not just yourself, but those you love most, those that are dearest to you. Because it's like, I feel like as this transition or this rise above the fray, this rise above the non-order that you may be seeing, this will be, I don't want to say the time of transition, because it's not just a time of transition. It's like this re-emerging into something new, so to speak, because it's like, I feel like as this 40 days unfolds, and as I feel like, you know how I said it was like a tidal wave? It could be like the actual like awesomeness of spirit that moves through us to kind of do this checks and balances thing I was talking about in the past videos, because that's kind of what I feel like is happening. This like discoverance of like all the exploitations, all the exploiters, all the negative things, to really reveal all the evil that is present in our world. It's kind of like to give us a fighting chance in a sense as us light workers, because some of us may not know where all the evil stems from in all the places in our lives. So in a weird way, it's like as we uphold the light as long and as hard as we can, in the sense of like trying to keep ourselves buoyant in this time, I feel like that's what's going to reveal so much more. It's like holding the strength, holding the fort down, holding it together, because as we get tested and go through, and I'm not even saying, I feel like this is going to be a revelatory time. And I know that I went all over the place with what happened with Mother God like a year ago, and I went over to the Bible with the 7 seals, and like I literally wrote out what all of the 7, like the white horse was conquering wars, the red horse was take peace away, the black horse was unfairness or fairness, inflation and greed, on wine and olive oil, which is hilarious because it is olive oil that's so freaking expensive now. The pale horse was a quarter of the world being killed, which maybe that was COVID. Like, not a quarter. You know what I'm saying? It's like the 6 was nature overturning, earthquakes, solar solstices, blood red moons, meteors and stars falling to the earth, which is happening too. And then those waiting for judgment, and those steadfast waiting for the finale. And then the marking and the branding of the chosen, the 7 angels, that lead to fire, trees being burned, which has happened all across Canada for one fact, and the United States, and other parts of the world, like what is that, the Amazon. So volcanoes, drowning, ships destroyed, the Wormwood star, I'm not sure exactly what that falls. Fresh waters, destroyed sun, moon, lose a third shift of planets. That has not occurred yet, but there is things happening with our moon. I'm just saying, I wrote all these things down, I would say over almost 20 years ago. And a lot of these like 7 sealed horses are riding right now as we speak. So I feel like I'm not someone who likes to go into biblical terms all the time, but when I am shown by God and Spirit, like, this is what we're showcasing and showing you, and I try to piece this together to make it some cohesive sense. But I feel like this holding steadfast to our faith is the treading of the water, because that was the thing. It's like during this judgment or this 40 days, it's like us being steadfast in our faith is what's keeping us in tread. And as hard as it may seem, and as much as it seems like the whole world is going down like a sinking ship in a sense, that's not how we have to project our thought forms at this time in a sense. It's like we have to see the greatest good in what is occurring as we evolve in this shake up, change up. And I do feel like this is a little different than any other time. I have mentioned this in my other videos because I have not felt this energetically this in the last 2 years. So I do feel like things are coming to a head, and that's what it was saying, was like the steadfast are waiting for the finale. But it's also the beginning, because the next paragraphs after that is talking about the new earth. And I don't think that's happening right away. But I feel like everything we are working towards and everything we are striving for to achieve and to watch unravel here is for this new world to occur, because something's got to give at this point. And I feel like this 40 days and 40 nights, like I said, not representative of an actual 40 days and 40 nights, or maybe it could be. But I'm saying it's this judgment, overseeing, over knowing, overtaking. It's like that process of the 40 days, as it's highlighted so many different times in the Bible, can allude to many different things. But usually to do with testing, judgment, overturning, revelation, like as if Moses received. There's so many parts to this. So I do thank you for following me down the yellow brick road. If you do like what I'm saying, please like, please share, please subscribe. It does help the channel. It helps me put forth more of my maniacal rantings. But I do want to say that I feel like we are all these leaders, and we're going to have to hold the space for this time, because what is coming forward after seems like it's going to be very pivotal. So blessings. Love you lots.